Hello everyone. Just gonna give you some behind the scenes of what we've been working on. Um, Here's the model of our house that we're gonna be playing in. Um, we were trying to get lightning going. At first we wanted to do some point lights around the house, but they were too bright. They cast bright points on the house because they were too close, and if we moved them further away, we'd have to turn up the range, and it did the same thing. So then we wanted to use directional lights, but we can only use one in the baking settings, or in the lighting settings. So the workaround that I found was to bake lighting and then turn on or off the light itself, and then that directional light can be then um, turned on and off and rotated a certain degree. So we get this flickering effect. We got rain going and rain sounds and thunder sounds, which I wrote a script to. Um, Audio for this actually goes down when you enter the house, so it becomes more reasonable. There's going to be triggers around the house that you gotta hit to make things happen. There's a trigger here for the door that's locked at the moment. If I come over here, there's going to be a trigger in front of the sink. So if I do that, it's going to be looking out the window. And then unfortunately the lights go off. And it's telling me to find a flashlight. But we're not going to do all that. Just showing you some of the other stuff. I want to show you the let's see. This is the house prototype. I'll show you the house stand-in. This is the other level we have. And in this level, you actually work with the breaker box. And we got a little smoke effect going on where the breaker box actually breaks on you. Lights go out and it ejects the breaker fuse. So I want to show you that real quick. It took a couple tries to get it right. Let's see. Go find a flashlight. We're gonna go find some batteries. Find a breaker box. Open this up. Press T to interact. And that fuse is broken. Now we gotta go find a new one. I can show you the script real quick for what it's doing behind the scenes. So that's not it. Breaker box. If I could click on it, there we go. We found some of these assets in the asset store. They're free. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. We got a light switch trigger. We got a bool, this end trigger. So if the characters within this trigger do something, if it's closed or open, talking about the front door on the breaker box itself. We got a reference to a Text Mesh Pro UGUI, which is the interactive text telling you press T to interact. We got a reference to the game manager, an outline object, the explosion particles, so when it blows up on you. We got an audio source. We got an explosion audio clip. We got the breaker switch itself, the transform for it. We have the breaker box door, the transform for that as well, so we can open it. Switch on rotation, switch off rotation, so we can move that up and down. Same thing for the door open and closing. We got a reference to the lights, so we can turn those off. Breaker to remove. This is what we're going to be pulling out. Breaker to turn on the ground, so when it lands on the ground, we're going to turn off the breaker to remove and turn on the one on the ground. And then breaker to replace is the one we turn on at the end once we find it. So these are just, once you're in the trigger and you press that T, it's calling an if statement to see if you're on mission 3 and it's closed, then it opens the box. If it's not that, it checks to see if it's open, and then it does its first interaction, and then it checks to see after that if it's during mission 6, it does the second interaction. This is saying if you're in the trigger and you're the player, press T to interact. If you're not in the trigger, then don't show any text at all. Open the box does the breaker box door rotation and opens the box with the is closed bool. First interaction, this is a debug.log. It just tells us as the developers down at the bottom in the console. It tells us if something's working or not. We can add these as little comments. They can say whatever you wish them to say. We had for the like we'll do like if somebody's dead, we'll put dead, or if somebody's losing health, we'll put lose 1 health. Just something small to keep us, to let us know that something's happening. It's playing the audio source and it's starting a coroutine, which a coroutine is like a function that plays at the same time that the rest of this goes off. It doesn't have to wait on anything else. And then it sets the rotation to the switch on rotation, and it's telling the game manager that it found the breaker box. And this is telling itself to set the text to the newest updated text. Second interaction, we're telling the debug.log, we're telling the developer that we used the fuse on it. The game manager returned the breaker box, so we're updating the text for the mission. We're disabling the outline of it. We're replacing the breaker. So we're setting that to true. And then we're turning the switch back on. We're actually also turning lights on. This is that blow up. So this is the it's called an IE numerator, but it's the coroutine that we started, and it blows up. It basically waits for a couple seconds, does an explosion clip. It sets the explosion clip, sorry, and then it does a get component on a rigid body. It sets is kinematic to false, so now it can move, and then it adds force to that rigid body to push it outwards. And then it plays an audio source that we set the clip on, and then explosion particles, and then it sets the rotation to the off rotation, and it turns the lights off. Then it waits for another 0.5 seconds and turns the breakers to false and the breaker back on the ground at true. It looks complicated, but what it's doing is there's a couple of these things here. There's this switch that's in here. This one gets pushed out, and there's one on the ground here. You can't see it. I don't know where it went. Oh, there's one in there. That's not the one on the ground. There's one on the ground that's off. When this one in here is pushed out, it turns off, and this one gets turned on. We were having a problem with the outlining it, and it did not want to remove that outline. So we're doing like a bait and switch type deal, where one gets turned off and one gets turned on as it hits the ground. So that's what you saw when I played. Uh, it's just small things like developer like tips and tricks that we do. And then when it gets turned on, it also plays that particle system. Down here, it plays that smoke that you see playing now. That'll play on awake. So it looks like it's broken, and it's given indication that you need to go find a new one. That's about it for now. If you have any questions, let us know. We'd love to answer them. Other than that, that's been a quick look behind the scenes. And we keep running into problems and we keep finding ways to fix them and solve them. There's only 2 people working on this. I'm doing the game design and coding. And then my buddy Robert Romero is working on 3D models. Thank you.